mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the alternative team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sure, I'm a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's do it. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right. Big start. Big day.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Remember to jump online and check out Rhett and the crew at rmb-builders.com. You can also find them on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. Welcome into this Thursday as we are jam-packed. Billy Embody going to be on our Southern Regional Medical Center phone line coming up at 7:45 this morning, and Chris Blair will be in studio at 8:15, just like he is every Thursday morning. Lloyd is here on this Thursday morning. Noah is here. Legs in the building. And Stewie is here.
The quad show.
Yes, indeed.
Going to give Frankson a run for his money.
Here on look at that
Stewie,
camera. Look at
spin
that
it
camera
around.
zip.
Just like you
Jump inside the chat. Give us a like, follow, and share if you don't
you got
mind.
that Celsius.
As we are always live from our Click Here Digital Campus. Live over here on Interline Avenue, in between Drusilla and Airline Highway. Give us a like if you don't mind. We're trying for 100 an hour, and if you haven't subscribe to the show if you can while you're here. Okay, so we finally got some news on Greg Brooks yesterday, and it is it's not worst case scenario, not best case scenario, but for the most part, at least now you know what you're going and dealing with if you're Brooks and his family, which I imagine has to be at least relieving in its own right. But yesterday we found out that LSU defensive back Greg Brooks is battling a rare form of brain cancer following his hospitalization. As the school announced that on Wednesday, the Brooks family, LSU Athletics, and Our Lady of the Lake Health announced that on Wednesday, Greg Brooks, senior safety from LSU, had been diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. Medulloblastoma is the official diagnosis for Greg Brooks. For the last 3 weeks, and this is a statement, Greg has been recovering from an extensive surgery to remove a brain tumor that was located in between his cerebellum and his brain stem, said Dr. Catherine O'Neill, who is the chief medical officer over at Our Lady of Lake. Greg's speech and ability to communicate has been impacted, and although he is responsive and working daily with physical therapy, he will face months of intensive rehabilitation. The surgery was successful in removing the tumor, and there is no evidence that the cancer is spread. As he begins rehab in the coming weeks, Greg's family and care team will determine a treatment plan in collaboration with a nationally recognized specialist in the specific form of brain cancer. He has a long journey ahead and will need the full support of the community behind him as he faces this battle. LSU has already acted on this, and helping the Brooks family, going to help them cover the expenses on this, as the TAF, as Tiger Athletic Foundation, launched the Greg Brooks Victory Fund. And we want to make sure we have that link up and have it on our social media. Noah is here today, who runs our social media team. We will have the link all over the place for you to donate to the Greg Brooks Victory Fund here when you can, how you can, however much you can for Brooks. I cannot imagine what Brooks is dealing with, having and just meeting him a couple of times, of him coming through the studio. You cannot think of a better representative of, not only the state school, but just our state in general. You saw Sam Pittman and the impact that Brooks made on the Arkansas football program in the 3 years that he spent up in Fayetteville. So, man, I am, and all of us, I know, over here at the show and at Click Here are behind Greg, pulling for Greg, want to support Greg Brooks and his family however we can. And like we said, we will have and give access to the Victory Fund all over our social media to make sure and use the power of our reach. So if you're in our network, you can donate to the cause, or you can just kind of spread it, right? Just pass it along, and maybe somebody else can, as we can try and pull together and help Greg Brooks as he is going through a very trying time right now as a young man. It does not seem, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but it seems as if he's going to make it from just the that portion of it, which is kind of been hanging in the balance over the last 3 weeks, as you've been kind of waiting to hear back on what the diagnosis
was officially, and now that we officially know, now you kind of understand that it is, what the fight ahead looks like. So, I hate to start on a somber note, but for our guy, man, Greg Brooks, who is, a great Louisianian and a strong young man, a healthy young man that's going to make this through. As I believe in the power of positive thought, I believe in the power of prayer, and I think if we all kind of come together, not only as an LSU football family from, just the reach from around the world, because it's powerful how big and strong the brand is of when, you travel places and people will stop and tell you, man, I love your show, and it's very grateful to hear that wherever you are, but really it's just the power of LSU sports. It's the power of LSU football, really, because of just the attraction to it, the pull to it, how much people care about it and are passionate about it. And when you have people like Greg Brooks who put the uniform on and represent it, man, you always want to pull and support however you can when they're going through something like this. So the Brooks family needs us. They need all of us. They need all of our positive thoughts and all of our prayers. So let's get together and make sure and make that happen. And like we said, we will have access to Greg Brooks's Victory Fund, where we can donate to his medical expenses and help the family out from a financial standpoint, which is going to be astronomical when you're talking about something as scary and as intense as brain surgery and rehabilitation on a diagnosis of a rare form. I think they said that there's only like 350 to 500 people in the country that are affected by this, and it's most popular within children, within kids, within the youth. So Greg's strong, healthy work ethic is going to pay off for him, and he needs us right now. His family needs us right now. So let's get behind Greg Brooks and get him through this.
And this is usually when you see the best of Louisiana, right? Like it's always like in times of, I guess, I don't want to say tragedy, but in times of people in need, especially when it rallies around sports. You saw it when when Joe Burrow gave the Heisman speech about, trying to get like a food drive and everything that was going on in his hometown of Ohio. You saw like Louisiana flock to that and start donating money and start donating to get to a cause that it feels like everybody can get behind. And whenever it's LSU football related, it feels like we all kind of rally together, like they all rally together. Mm-hmm. And this is something that you'll see where Louisiana shows what kind of makes the state special, in my mind, where no matter your differences, no matter what your leanings are politically or anything like that, whatever it becomes LSU football and rallying around somebody that actually needs help, Louisiana always finds a way to kind of get it done.
I'm not saying this just to say this, and I think everybody in this room can speak to this because you all were there in times that he showed up. He's different than all of them. I mean, like they were all personable. They were all, and I'm talking about the players that came through our studio that sat down with us. It was really a cool experience to get to know them, and they're all unique and kind of stand out in their own right. Greg Brooks is so Louisiana. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he is so New Orleans. He is so just the vibe, the whole thing, man. I mean, when he walks in, it almost feels like Tyrann Mathieu' younger brother.
Right. Yep.
I mean, like I'm not kidding. I mean, like the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he plays, the way he handles himself, the way he represents himself. I mean, he really, to me, has that type of feel to him. I mean, and he's like a guy like you the first time you meet him, he like hugs you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
he's like somebody you
know what I mean? Like you feel like you've known him for a decade.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like it feels like you've known him for which is epic Louisiana, right? Uh-huh. Right? Like I mean, I think when you travel around and people meet Louisianans for the first time, that's what they'll say. Like I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
bring it in.
And he embodies that. I've got no doubt in my mind he's going to beat this, like completely, right? And I hope that he's able to play football because I know how much, just by watching him and listening to him talk about it, how much he loves it, worships it almost. So, let's just get behind our guy, bro.
This doesn't
Absolutely.
make the LSU defense play hard. I don't know what can.
Yeah.
Because that man played with a brain tumor. That man was playing
He was
his
making
heart out,
plays,
making
bro.
plays with a
He
brain
was
tumor.
making plays, man.
Like,
I
if
mean-
you got an excuse now, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And get off the field.
If that don't put the dog in you.
It just, and look, essentially, really and truly, in my opinion, he is what they're missing.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Like not just on the field, but like in the locker room, he would be the guy that we've talked about and referenced. We brought it up with Jai Eugene the other day, and I mean, he kind of got into it organically, right? Where, I mean, he reiterated some of the same things we said earlier this week. If you're not giving maximum effort, if you're not out there, at least trying, I mean, there was a threat at LSU, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, where, I mean, you could get beat up on the sideline. You get beat up in the locker room. I mean, the Foster Morrow story on Bussin' with the Boys.
Him and Donnie Alexander.
I mean, like, I know that, like, you don't really, you're not encouraging that stuff, right? But you got to understand, you throw 105 dudes into a locker room, you put them around one another for, 6 straight months, every single day, 12 hours a day in the same place, doing the same thing, talking to the same people. At some point, I hope they get aggravated with one another. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, I hope there's a little bit of, kind of pushback within there. I mean, at some point, the ecosystem's got to be created in the locker room where, the strong are going to eat the weak, and the weak are either going to have to adapt or die. And the people that are usually pushing that message and creating that atmosphere are dudes like Greg Brooks, who are not allowing anything to slip. And if anything slips in any direction, in any corner, whether it's the red shirt group, whether it's the walk-ons, whether it's the backups, whether it's the starters, or whether it's the damn All-Americans, there's got to be a standard that's held, and there's got to be people within that locker room that it's not Brian Kelly, it's not Matt House, it's not Mike Denbrock, it's not Frank Wilson. Those guys are a part of it, but they can't run it. There's got to be some alphas within that locker room that step up and say, hey, fellas, look, this is how it's going to be. And if anything gets outside of those parameters, this is going to be the consequence. And the coach ain't going to find out about it. And Greg Brooks is that guy. And I'm not saying that, that's exactly what they have to have, but they miss that. You can tell they miss that. There's a couple of instances and scenarios on that Ole Miss game where it doesn't take anybody. You don't have to be a football fan. I was standing in the room with a 12-year-old that doesn't even care about football watching the game. He was like, they're not even running. They're not even trying. It's the first time he'd watched LSU play probably in his life. Kid had no care about football, LSU football. He's a golfer. He's Bo's kid. Bo White's kid. He's a stud little golfer. He didn't care about, he's not into that stuff. But his eyeballs just looked up and said, they're not even running.
Where's the effort?
Yeah, do they care? I had to look at it. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's how obvious it is. That's how obvious it is. And that's the type of stuff 3 years ago. Forget 10 years ago. Forget Skylar Green and Jai Eugene and those guys. 15 years ago. I mean, that was the stuff 3-4 years ago. I mean, I remember Stingley getting held accountable on the sideline. It didn't matter, man. I don't care if you're the third pick of the draft. I don't care if you're a walk-on. There's a standard that you sign up for when you get the helmet. And once you're issued one, that is expected. And if it doesn't come through and it's not executed, you got to have people like Greg Brooks in the locker room that hold people accountable and say, yo, man, you ever put that down on film again, I'm going to kick your ass. Literally, I'm going to kick your ass in front of everybody. And if you do it again, I'm going to kick your ass again.
Every time you do it, I'm going to kick your ass.
Brandon Taylor. Devin White.
Patrick Queen.
I mean, where are the alphas at? I mean, somebody asked me at lunch, are you going to sit around and blame the coaches all week? I mean, look, I guess we beat up on the coaches. Deservedly so, but I told the guy yesterday at lunch, you're right. I mean, at some point, once you strap it up, once you buckle up, you step on the field.
They can't play.
You got to have some pride to you, right? I mean, you got to have a little bit of sense of ego to you and pride that says, "Hey, man, I've been getting beat up now for 3 weeks. People don't think we can play. We miss tackles. We're out of position. We're all confused. We're not doing the right things. You're in man. I'm in zone." Somebody just got to step up and say, "Look, this is what it's going to be."
Taking bad angles. D-line not in the stance. D-line a yard off the ball.
Not finishing plays.
That's player shit.
If you can't get motivated for 3 this week, if you can't close the door, get the locker room right, and say, "Coaches, get out of here." And look, man, I'm not a players-only meeting guy. I don't think anything comes good from players-only meetings. If you're calling them, it ain't good. Usually the things that come out of them are even worse. But I'm not even saying call a players-only meeting. I'm just saying shut the door to the locker room and say, "Hey, get your mind right for number 3 this week."
This year.
Yeah, but it's a week-to-week thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you couldn't do it last week, like, fellas, I mean, come on, man. The guy's laid up in a hospital bed, and he's fighting for his life. Let's get in position and make tackles, right? You couldn't do it last week. Get it right this week. Now you know what he's dealing with. Now you know what he's fighting. It's a lot worse than Missouri's offense. Go crush these cats, man. I mean, there has to be a get-right sense in the attitude, the effort. That stuff's easy, right? I mean, it just... LSU's got that great sign that Jeff Boss has in the locker room, and I want to make sure and don't misquote it.
Does it say we issue everything but guts?
We issue everything but guts. That's exactly right, Stewie.
It's the first thing I saw when I went in LSU's locker room, like as a sophomore in high school.
Jeff Boss used to tell him that when he was handing out the gear on gear day. When you'd walk in there, which is usually like the first day of practice, you walk in there and you kind of get like your grab bag, right? You got your shorts, your T-shirts, your shoes, your socks, your sweatsuit, your everything, your undershirt, all of your gear. And Boss would tell him individually as he's handing out the gear. And Jeff Boss is an icon at LSU. I mean, going back to that 2003 team, they wore the JB patch.
Mm-hmm.
JB was painted on the field in 2003. And he would tell every LSU football player that came through as he handed them their gear, "We issue everything but guts, son." And I've thought about that a lot in watching this team play. I thought about it a lot in watching that replay on Sunday. I mean, just... there is a sense of pride, effort, enthusiasm, and attitude that lacks LSU football. That's just that's just a choice. You know? I mean, really, that's just you choose that, right? Like the saying says, I can give you all this gear. I can give you the helmet, I can give you the cleats, I can give you the pads, I can give you the T-shirt, I can give you the sweatsuit. I can give you everything. I can't give you guts. I can't give you... That's up to you. I mean, you got to flip that switch. And that's why I've been pushing back all week that talent is not the problem at LSU. LSU's got guys, if they say, "Hey, man, I'm not taking this anymore," that they can become a top 80 defense in the country. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not asking you to go to 117 to 20. But, I mean, in 2 weeks, if you just said, hey, let's just start playing whistle to whistle. Like, make sure you're running max speed and giving max effort. You're straining when you're running when the whistle blows.
Not hands on your hips because you've been loafing the whole game.
Yeah, there's a couple plays that stand out that Ole Miss game where it's like they almost expected to give up points. You know, it didn't matter if they tackled it within the 15 or the 10 or the 5 and, like, wanted to finish a play. It's almost they knew if you make a tackle, it doesn't matter where it is, it felt like they were going to give up a score anyway. And they're like, just give it back to the offense.
Well, they should be trying to get stops to give it back to the offense, not letting the other team score
Or
every time
just,
they touch it.
like,
But it feels like it's become the
after
expectation.
5 weeks, like, have a recognition in the building of we're no good defensively. Like, let's just say it out loud. Let's get this whole thing straight. Like, I saw where Pete Jenkins came in. Like, literally, one of the things he said, like, first was, like, we're going to crowd the ball on the, like those are, like, football terms for just saying, like, we're going to tell our guys to scoot up on the line of scrimmage. You know, like, just like the recognition in-house of nobody being like, hey, man, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that we can just make this thing look a lot better, at least from the optic standpoint, if whatever the hell's been going on is not going on and they just coach the game. So, I mean, like, I think that, like, there are some real quick fixable things.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, you get a sense of, like, hey, all right, now, this is what you're really bad at, pass coverage. You know, like, you're not any good at that. So what can you do from a defensive standpoint to stay out of those scenarios as much as possible? Right? And they're really good on first and second down. I say really good.
I mean, good enough.
For the standard that they're putting out right now, they're really good. But they do some okay things. Start to at least try and perfect one of them. Or take what you're terrible at, third down defense, and just zone in on trying to get off the field on third down. I mean, start somewhere microscopic before we say LSU's defense is no good. I mean, it just seems like they can't do anything. Right? They can't tackle, they can't pass defend, they can't run stop, they can't gap fit, they don't do anything well.
No turnovers.
Can't create turnovers.
Can't get to the quarterback.
It's just, and they're not that bad.
No.
Best
You know,
pressure
like
is on
that's the
sideline.
thing,
Right.
is that you're not that, when I'm saying, like, you're not that bad, like, the players, the people, like, it's like, come on, like, this is not this bad. You know, like, snap out of it. So
Ole Miss was 9 of 16 on third down
they were 2 of 3 on fourth down.
and 2 of 3 on fourth down.
Get off the field.
That's what I'm saying. You got them in third down 16 times. So there's obviously there's plays on first and second down, and then all these conversions aren't coming on 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 3. You have them in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 13. You have them in 3rd and long.
And they're getting 15 on 3rd and 13.
And there was no panic. It was like, all right, good, I want to be in third down. And I just don't know what changes between second and third down, and when you're at a defensive advantage. Whenever you set the sticks and you know that they have to go get 15 yards. And it's, okay, here's 20.
Yeah.
Here's a chunk play of 55. Right. And it's just, those are your opportunities where you go from the 120th team on team defense to 80th if you just get off the football field and give it back to your offense that can win you football games. That's how LSU can start winning these games. If you get off the field on third down and you start going up 17-3, 21-3, and it just feels like, oh, we can't catch up. We can't compete. Because LSU's offense is going to keep rolling. Because I said this yesterday. It's not just the pass game that's working. If LSU's able to ever get a lead and sustain it, that's when you see the Logan Diggs show. You see Caleb Jackson get some run. You start seeing the back show up. And then you have a game where you can go 5+ minutes in the fourth quarter and impose your will and win the football game. You never even had a thought of giving that thing back. Like, LSU could win it both ways on the offensive side. They can outscore you, and then they can choke you out to death.
Yeah.
But you got to get in that situation where you can. And to go up, what was it, 9 against Ole Miss, and kind of fumble that thing away, that's the only miscue you had on offense, but it can't come to that. You can't expect to be perfect offensively, and that costs you a game.
49 points is enough to win a football game.
Exactly.
600 yards, 2 wide receivers over 100, a running back over 100, you lose. I mean, that is...
Your quarterback almost went for over 100.
That's tough, man. I mean, like, what else do you have to do? I mean, what else can you do? Because you turned it over one time?
In the what, first
in
quarter?
the first quarter.
I mean, one turnover?
Cost
and
you
that
a
really
game.
was the play of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, if they score there, they win.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't fumble, they probably score.
But, like, that's still, like, you shouldn't be hunted by a turnover in the first quarter.
Not if you do turn it over and you bounce back with 4
49.
touchdowns and 600 yards of offense, like, it's all good. Like, you forgive the fumble, right? Like, your defense played well enough to cover that up. No, they didn't.
Nah, they actually gave up a score.
What do you
right
mean?
after that.
I mean, that
Back
is
to back.
just... There's
Stomach
no,
hurts.
there's nothing you can say about the offense to say, hey, you need more to win. They're giving you
Everything.
plus. I mean,
Way more than I think. I don't
giving
think
you
anybody
plus.
saw it going to be like this.
Jay-
I
Daniels is
I
out
didn't
there.
think it was going to be like this. I knew it was going to be great, though.
Yeah, I think
I
everybody.
mean, with knowing you have Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas on the outside, you have high expectations. But for them to be as automatic
Yes.
as they are.
And Jaden Daniels just
Jaden
dropping
Daniels
everything.
is the story.
And
Like,
yeah,
I
he's-
knew Malik Neighbors could do what he's doing. I knew
Yeah.
Brian Thomas could do what he was doing.
He's
I didn't know
trusted.
that Diggs was as good as he was.
Right.
Diggs is a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was confident that the offensive line was going to take that next step and be able to protect and be able to keep Daniels upright and keep him effective. I just wondered whether or not Daniels
gonna
was
make
going
it
to be able to
happen.
take that next step, and he has. I
Leaped.
mean, I wouldn't take anybody else.
Same.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
like I know he's in the top 5, and I know that Caleb Williams and Shador Sanders and Drake May and all these dudes, right? I mean, and I get it, but Jaden Daniels is at that table. Like, he is in that discussion and deserves to be, and you can win anything that's out there in college football with Jaden Daniels
100%.
And he's not even getting the respect he deserves.
'Cause of the
his
defense.
is so bad.
because of the defense.
He has more yards than Caleb Williams. More yards than Shador Sanders. But not getting that respect.
I mean,
Sad.
he's playing the position as well as the position can be played.
100%.
Like, there's nothing more that Jaden Daniels can do
And he
for
knows it.
LSU. And he handles it so well.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that one of the most impressive parts about him is his demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks as if his heart rate stays the same the entire game.
He's just Jaden don't flinch.
Jane, don't flinch. And you get against you. Now you go up against another Missouri team that is
The same thing.
running 2 fewer plays a game than Ole Miss was. So they're going to try to get you with that tempo again. And that's another factor where you think maybe Pete Jenkins can help of just alignment and assignment.
Yeah.
Because it feels like LSU's lining up and they're not, I don't know if they're not getting the call in time or if they're just confused. If you watch Cassie's Clicker, you have situations where they're going tackle over, and with no wide receiver on that side of the field, you have 2 GBs and a backer over there, not knowing what to do. Like, the ball's not going that way, Coach. There's nobody to cover, and then they just snap it on
Just
you.
covering grass.
You're standing as you stand.
It's alarming how confused they are. I mean, I was listening to Takeo Spikes
Tequila.
this morning. I mean, Takeo Spikes is like, what are they doing? I mean, he's like, and I'm speaking of Takeo Spikes on Out of Pocket, SEC Network. You can see it. It runs all morning. He was talking. He's like, Matt House is a good coach. I saw what he did. But what's going on? You know, he's like, everybody looks so confused. Nobody knows where they're supposed to be. I mean, it's so obvious that one DB's in man, the other's in zone. Right. It's like, how is it so broken 5 weeks into the season? I mean, you've been together since August every single day. It's a valid question. How can you spend so much time around one group, and everybody looks so confused. It brings up, that's what everybody's asking. What's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, what you spend, like, see, that's always been my rub with coaches and play. Like, we spend all day at the facility, and then you go out on Saturday and you look like a fire drill?
Chinese fire.
Well, we get to the facility at 4 a.m. and we don't leave until midnight. For what? Sounds like you hate your wife. I mean, like, because it don't look like you're coaching football.
Still want to go home.
I mean, what do you do? Like, that's always been my thing with coaches. Like, well, we're at the facility. Like, doing what?
Hanging out, bro.
How much film can you watch?
Yep.
I mean, like, how much can you break down what's going on? I mean, just put the guys in the right position. Football's not this hard.
Move the D line up.
Football is not a hard. It really is kind of a simple game when you kind of break it down. And LSU makes it look very, very difficult on defense. It's like, I mean, just put the right guys in the right position and don't overthink it. Get out of this cover 3 stuff. Bring them up to the line. Let them bump. Let them play like they want to play. You don't want them to play like that. Well, don't recruit those guys. I mean, like, like that's what those guys do best.
They want to be in your chest.
I mean, is there anything to me the lowest form of coaching, in my opinion, is when a coach says, well, he doesn't fit my system. How are you in coaching? Well, so you've got one system that has to fit every single player that comes through it? How does that make sense? How can you not have a system that works for everybody because you're a coach? Like, Quincy Wiggins doesn't fit the system. Well, then why did you recruit him? I mean, and God, you're that bad on defense, and he can't log a rep. I know I'm getting back to the coaching stuff on it, and it goes back to it's a players and coaches thing. But because, I mean it's just a breakdown.
If the coaches see the lack of effort, isn't the first thing? I mean, even high school sports, they grab the player off the bench, go get him. Just give somebody else an opportunity.
Just see somebody else
to see if they will give more effort. I mean, because it's obviously a player problem when it's a lack of effort and a lack of pride, but at the same time, you're leaving the same guys on the field.
So it's going to continue to be a lack of effort and a lack of pride.
Right.
Well, that's what Ole Miss, they caught you.
Right.
They didn't let you sub. They didn't let you take anybody out.
Saw it. They exploited it.
100%.
Lane saw it early.
Lane saw it on Tuesday.
I'm licking my chops.
It was like, fellas, we're going to run them into, by the fourth quarter, they will be sucking wind. 21-7, Ole Miss outscored LSU in the fourth. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's just lack of effort.
You gave up on the play at the 8.
Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with our friends over at Go Roof by logging online to GEAUXroof.com or call them at 225-927-8300 is the phone number, how you get in touch with our friends over at Go Roof. Get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations over at Go Roof. You can count on them for roof repair, installation, or maintenance, and that is residential roofing, commercial roofing, and roofing repairs. Online, GEAUXroof.com. A beautiful roof every single time. 225-927-8300. That's the phone number, and online at GEAUXroof.com. We'll talk to Billy Embody coming up here in a couple of minutes. If you have a recruiting question for Embody, you can jump inside of the chat. We will make sure and get them asked and answered coming up here with Embody. We'll also talk to Chris Blair coming up at 8:15. We'll talk to the voice, of course, tonight, LSU. And Brian Kelly going to be over at his radio show over at TJ Ribs.
Is he taking phone calls?
So he will not be taking phone calls tonight.
Coach, why can't you get the D-line to step up 1 yard? Come on now.
Saban's still taking calls.
Yeah.
Planted.
Pee-wee. We're not setting the edge.
What a great college football weekend it's going to be. A lot of things going to shake out this weekend.
Wait, did you see the Bama DB talk about Saban getting on his ass the other day?
Yeah.
See? Because just simple things. It's just the simple things.
Yes,
just be coachable.
I mean,
listen.
Really and true. Like 95% of the world wants to be directed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's only like that outlying group that are like, I got it. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, look, I mean, I do. I think all of us kind of do better when you're like, hey, man, run that way, run fast. You're like, okay, that way, I got it.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, like, a lot of people want to be disciplined, want to have direction. They want and feel better in structure. And that was a great Alabama soundbite the other day that talked about Saban, you know, I mean, like, lightning. That kid wants to be coached.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be coached hard. That's probably why he went there.
That's what he said. He said, that's why I came here.
I mean,
if you
know,
don't want to come here, if you don't want to be coached like that, don't come here.
And it takes a personality to be told a lot, like, hey, man, you're not doing this right. And, you know, like you're not doing this right. Like, you have to do it like this if you want to be the most successful at it.
And he was just getting on him about a simple, like, cat blitz, like a corner blitz. That's all he was getting on him about, timing it up. And that kid he went too early, and I guess they stopped him from blitzing, and Saban got on him about it, and he fixed it. And they probably got home the next time he went.
And look at the impact that it has on him getting out of that moment. You know, like that's what, like, he's not going to do that again. Or if he does, he's going to know when he comes to the sideline, like, I know.
And
I know.
He didn't even know at first. He said he didn't know who Saban was about to get on. Then he realized it was him, and he was like, oh, wow, he's about to get on me. But he was like, I was ready for it. I understand that's what comes with playing here. And seems like LSU does not understand that.
When we come back, we'll talk to Billy Embody. Remember, we're over here at our Click Here Digital studios. We are live here from our Click Here Digital campus every single day, and Click Here Digital can help you today with a full digital marketing plan. Whether that is setting your Google ads, your social media ads, if you need content, if you're looking just for consultation around digital marketing, get in touch with us over here at Click Here Digital. Online, clickheredigital.com, or hit me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. From On3 and our friends over there, we will talk to Billy Embody next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, built by RMB Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here we go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Beautiful roof every single time. True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's spell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
When law enforcement needed John Stefanski's help,
he stepped up and passed the toughest fentanyl trafficking law in America.
He's always had our back.
As Attorney General, I trust him.
I trust him. I trust John Stefanski to stand with law enforcement
And Louisiana families.
to fight back against violent crime.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John Stefanski for Attorney General.
I'm with John Stefanski for Attorney General.
Welcome back here to
You
the
do all the
Culotta Show,
buzzwords.
the now broke Culotta Show. As Lloyd's handing out our passwords to strangers.
It's like the casino that got robbed. Did you see that? Of the MGM property? Where they
what
looked up
happened?
somebody on LinkedIn.
Ocean's 11?
No, they looked up somebody on LinkedIn and they called in and said they're him and they need access to a password because they forgot theirs.
Hold 1 second.
Uh-huh. She gave it straight to him, and it was a group of hackers that literally shut down at MGM Properties, and I think they got $25 million from...
Oh, yeah.
That's what they were like, if you pay the fee, we'll give you all your shit back. And they did. They were like, oh, we don't want anything to do with this. Caesars didn't do it. And they shut down the entire thing of Caesars in Las Vegas. You can't go there. You couldn't get into your room and use your room key.
Wow.
Hackers are incredible.
strong.
Yeah,
Big day for hackers.
Should have just paid the fine.
Just pay the fine.
So, whoever this is, don't do that to me. I don't have any money.
Don't do it to the show, for God's sakes. We're trending in the
We
right
just got here.
We're trending in the right direction
Yeah.
for the first time in a minute.
It's par for the course for me.
Billy Embody, our friend over at On3, it is good to catch up with him every week here as talking a lot of recruiting. LSU has switched their focus a little bit on this JUCO route. We'll talk to Billy about that and get the latest here. Welcome into the conversation, Billy. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, guys. How about you?
Doing good. Obviously, everybody talking about the LSU defense right now. Let's talk about the future of that defense. Last week, we harped and focused on the defensive line and what was upcoming for the Tigers. How have those conversations moved, and anybody new on the board?
Yeah, I think the one thing we're seeing right now is junior college defensive linemen kind of take center stage, and you know, Sean Washington is a former New Orleans area well-known prospect who ended up going from being a one-time LSU commit to signing with Georgia, going out of state, and then he ends up leaving there after just 1 year and enrolling at East Mississippi Community College. And LSU hosted him earlier this season for a visit and then offered him. He's a big kid, 6'4"-ish, 315 pounds, kind of a plug in the middle. His first year of junior college, he's been able to put some tape out there, which is somewhat encouraging. It's not necessarily anything that screams at you, but he's a very just good at the point of attack, strong defensive lineman. So For LSU, playing this, kind of 3 down front at times, that's kind of something where I think it'll, help them get a bigger body in there and be able to just, again, kind of hold the point of attack a little bit better and allow some of those linebackers to flow and make plays. And then they also have, Walter Bobb, who was a one-time Alabama commit who ends up going to Hutchinson Community College. He's more of an edge, but a bigger edge. So another guy where, again, I think size would really help LSU. We see what they have with Harold Perkins coming off the edge. We know that they probably need another pure pass rusher. But when you have a guy that, in Walter Bobb's case, kind of looks like he could be like a Deshaun Womack, where you bulk him up once you get him on campus, that's always encouraging, and he would provide some versatility. So they're evaluating him. Walter Bobb is a pretty quiet guy on the recruiting front, always was, dating back to when he was coming out as a recruit. He ended up committing to Alabama and coincidentally went to Acadiana, where Dominic McKinley goes, and just kind of quietly committed to Alabama. But the word was the entire time he was going to have to go JUCO. So now that he is, LSU's back on him as well, and so they're keeping an eye on him. But yeah, I think right now this class overall is just lacking that difference-making defensive lineman, and how are you going to address that? You're going to have to go to the portal, and so the portal window is just edited down to 30 days after this season, and then 15 days after the spring session where guys can enter the portal. That window is shrunk down, which is good. It was way too long for these guys to have to, one, either be tampered with, quite frankly, or just decide if they're going to go in. You can now take those 30 days after the season, and even if you wanted to go through a little bit of bowl practices with your team and see kind of what the future holds, then you can make your decision and enter, and then you have the whole January or spring semester to be recruited if you are going to stay there for that spring semester, which I think the window might kind of deter that a little bit. Like if you're going to enter, you're going to enter and then find a new home for the spring, which is good because then LSU can get some guys in if they can find and get some players on the defensive line in. But this recruiting class has a good linebacker class. It has a lot of depth and talent in the secondary coming in. You just got to find those difference makers up front right now.
John Bro, #Ask Billy. Bill, what's the latest on Bernard Causey?
Yeah, that's a good question. LSU has offered him a scholarship after seeing a little bit of his senior season. And, he's somebody that's going to be on campus for the Auburn game. And he's currently committed to Ole Miss. He's a long, impressive-looking prospect on the hoof. He ran about a sub 4.5 at LSU camp this summer, jumped really well. And I think the thing with him is, he's shown you what he can do from just an athleticism perspective. And so much of corner is having the athletic tools to compete and be out there. And that's what Bernard Causey has shown as a senior. He really has that athletic, those traits that you look for when you evaluate cornerbacks, and he's long as well. So, when you match up in either man situations or when you're just going up for a contested ball, when you have that extra length, it certainly helps. And so they're pushing really hard for him. He's out of the New Orleans area, and wouldn't shock me at all if he ends up in this class.
Speaking of New Orleans, you had a great write-up on linebacker out of Destrehan, Kalaj Cobbins, who is a guy that LSU is committed to and has been, and seems like he's one of the leaders of the class. How's his senior year going, and what are expectations for him once he gets on campus?
Yeah, he's going to get to LSU in December, actually. So, assuming they do go to a bowl, things aren't going to burn that badly, I don't think. But he'll be able to go through some bowl practices too, if that's how they choose to kind of handle that. But he's having a great senior year. I think for him, he continues to show why he's one of the best football players in the state of Louisiana. Destrehan is always a state power, and he's got his eyes set on making a run back to the Dome, and I think he's definitely one of those leaders in the class. I mean, he has never wavered. All he's done is swung back by campus over and over and over again, and he likes his relationship with the staff, and yeah, he's one of those leaders. He's not the biggest guy in terms of being an edge prospect, but he also has that versatility where you can kind of move him around if you want to. He could play linebacker, could play edge. And again, he plays really, really hard. He's got a high motor and is definitely one of those leaders in the class.
Billy, from a recruiting standpoint, how is the schedule working right now with the coaches? Are they out on the road watching games? Are they talking to players and prospects in game week? What is kind of the method here, especially during a travel week here like LSU is? They head up to a tough travel spot in Missouri.
Yeah, they're always in contact with these prospects. They usually, it seems like, I don't know their exact schedule, but it seems like they keep a contact early in the week, and then they will give a lot of the prospects a shout either on their game day or leading up to their game for their week. So whether they play Thursday or Friday, I saw James Simon, one of the best running backs in the country and one of the top 20-25 prospects in Louisiana last week, and he said Frank Wilson, Coach Denbrock, bunch of guys reached out to him right before their big game against Westgate last weekend, and Calvary ended up getting the win and knocking off Westgate, which was really impressive. But that's kind of their plan in terms of contact with prospects. And then Brian Kelly, I think, has really kind of leaned into more so not sending guys out during game week to go evaluate prospects. They will use the bye week, which will come up before Alabama to get out and see some guys. I think there's a couple schools of thought to that. And LSU has gone out and seen some prospects super local, like in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. But there are other programs out there that will get the jet going and fly the guy in right before the game, and then fly them out in time to be back in the team hotel if it's not too far. So some programs do that. Some programs don't want their coaches, away from the team that night before the game. And so there's a couple different ways to skin a cat. I mean, if you're winning, nobody cares. If you're running into some roadblocks, people are always going to wonder, well, they should be recruiting a little bit harder or whatever. But they'll take advantage of that bye week and get out and see a lot of prospects during that time. But they can. It's a little hard at times to do it on a road week for sure. But when you're at home, you like to see them get out a little bit and then get out and see those guys and then come back in time for the game.
Bill, any prospects in a senior year making a push, a guy that may have been on the fence that was needed to perform? We're about the halfway mark here of the high school regular season. Has there been a prospect, whether it's on LSU's radar or anybody in the state that has jumped onto a board that maybe not unexpected, but somebody that they were watching and monitoring?
Yeah, I think it's really Bernard Causey out of the seniors, but that's kind of the lone guy I would say off the top of my head that has really blown up, especially in the LSU realm of things. But when you look at a guy who's a junior, DK Mays out of Central is really blowing up right now. He just picked up Tulane, Texas A&M, a bunch of offers this week, really exploding Mississippi State. And he's a guy that was at LSU camp this past summer. What he's put together has been really impressive as a junior. So I think he's somebody that's worth looking at. He was there at camp for LSU and did camp. He's not really a guy that impresses you outside of his physical makeup in camp. But as a junior, there was some buzz going into the season that he would have the type of season he's having on the football field. And so I think he's going to be a guy that LSU takes a much closer look at now that junior tape is out there. Maybe we see an offer go out. You'd hate to kind of see him, fall into that Gabe Relaford kind of, situation where he has a huge junior season, which Gabe did at Evangel up there in North Louisiana. And then you're just kind of looking for him to do something off the field to flash, athletically in a camp or an in-person evaluation setting. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen for Gabe with LSU, and commits to A&M, and now they offer. And so DK Mays, I think he's showing on the field as a junior, worth some serious consideration here, and maybe LSU makes a move on him.
William Lewis brings up a name that I've heard over the last couple of weeks, and that is senior safety Dylan Day out of Southern Lab who is committed to the University of Miami. And I know over the last couple of weeks, people have been texting me from Southern Lab games saying that this kid is just blowing up. What do you know about him, and how firm is that commitment to Miami?
Yeah, he's a guy that doesn't flash from a true size perspective overall. About 5'11", 165. I think for me, you're going to see him make a lot of plays locally, and because he's committed to Miami, his name will pop up on a lot of people's radar when they're saying, well, LSU needs more safety help. I mean, in my opinion, they have two of the best in the country in Joel Rogers and Deshaun McBride committed already, and some guys in this class that maybe you could see them play a little bit of safety too. But with Dylan Day, I think he's somebody that I don't know if we see LSU move on him. He's got some really good tape, but I think from a size perspective, it's just not something that they're ready to move on. So will be something to keep an eye on, but maybe is I guess the best way to put it right now. But he hasn't popped up on my radar with conversations with people just yet. But they know about him with him being in Baton Rouge and certainly committed to Miami and things like that.
Bill, Little Jay and I are watching the series on Amazon Prime, God, Family, and Football, following the Evangel Christian Academy as the high school football program up there in North Louisiana over the last couple of years. And I love Gabe Relaford. He is a dog. He is a player. And Dean Stewart asks a interesting question, and I want to get to Relaford. But Stewart asks Billy, why is A&M offering kids in Louisiana before LSU is? How big of a deal is that in the process? And I know that Relaford was one of those guys that A&M was on a little bit before LSU, and now LSU's trying to make up ground. How much does that method need to change from a recruiting standpoint in your opinion? I know that's a lot. Sorry.
No, it's one. I think A&M does have two off-field guys, and David Bowen and Mason Smith, who are over there, who both are Louisiana natives and both were at LSU at one point, so they know the state. And they also, when it comes to defensive linemen, you have Elijah Robinson, who is one of the best defensive line recruiters in the country, and he's just that good, first of all. So just getting in front of prospects and being able to recruit them, which paid off with, McKinley and Relaford in their class right now. But when it comes to early evaluations, LSU has really done a good job in 25, 26, getting out ahead of it now that this staff has been able to be here for a year and a half now, and has really, been able to, I guess 2 years overall, kind of off the field and evaluating prospects, but they've been able to kind of sink their teeth into those classes down the line and get out in front of it from an evaluation standpoint. There's still going to be guys like DK Mays, who's in 2025, that if LSU decides to move on him, you want to see that happen maybe sooner rather than later, because he is starting to pick up that serious recruiting steam, and he did camp for you this summer as well. I think there's part of it where you are the out-of-state school. If you're Texas A&M, if you're Florida State, that's another school that recruits Louisiana pretty hard. Oklahoma is starting to kind of dip their toe in. Arkansas, of course, but from A&M's perspective, they can offer a kid a little bit earlier than LSU and just say, that if it doesn't pan out that way in terms of development, we're fine. We're not the in-state school. For me, if you're LSU, there are times where in the past, and I think they've done maybe a better job of getting away from this, but you don't want to, and any evaluator can do this, you don't want to overthink things, right? Yes. Like Gabe Relaford's junior season was unbelievable. 100-plus tackles. Oh, yeah, 100-plus tackles, double-digit sacks, and forced fumbles all over the place. And you're kind of left wondering, well, where does he play? At that time, he came off his junior season. And, look, I talked to multiple staffs about this, and I knew about Gabe very early on. SMU was recruiting him and all of that, and actually had a silent commitment from him, and that went well. But they thought, well, they thought, well, maybe he'll be an edge guy. He'll be a strong side defensive end. Well, then they see him in the spring, and he's 6'3", 260, and has this huge frame. Well, now you're like, okay, well, he's going to be a 3-tech. So he's kind of a tweener in that perspective too. But at the end of the day, he's a really good athlete, verified and in different settings on that front, plus his production on the field. Just take him and go from there, because, if you're LSU, you also have some commitments in state where you're kind of like, okay, very good high school players. How do they project at the next level to be a difference maker? I just saw Demarion Johnson, who's a good plug in the middle, but he doesn't do too much that flashes for you from an athletic perspective. He's just a good, strong point of attack defensive lineman. So, Gabe Relaford, LSU went out and saw him twice in the spring and just hadn't offered. And you're just kind of wondering, well, what's the holdup? I mean, is it that he was kind of a tweener? But again, it goes back to, if you're that good, you probably deserve an LSU offer at that stage, and that's where I think they're getting ahead of it on 2025 and 2026 for the most part. But I think just Gabe Relaford is just one of those things where it was probably just overthought just a little too much, and it can happen here and there. And in Bernard Causey's case, they wanted him to show it on the field as a senior, communicated that to him. And he even said in an interview with our Sam Spiegelman, he's like, it didn't matter to me. I knew I was going to show him what I needed to, which you love that mentality. But kind of going back to that whole, evaluating situation with A&M. I mean, they have a couple guys who, one, can throw out offers because they're the out-of-state school, but they're also guys that have been around the state for a long, long time. And I think that is, something LSU has with guys, but as the in-state school, they've taken the stance where you better be sure before you offer. And there's different schools of thoughts there as well. You could flood the state with offers, and a bunch of kids have LSU offers, and then you can kind of prioritize the ones from there, and it'll work itself out when kids aren't getting called anymore or whatever as they go through their high school careers. Or you can make it a pretty big deal to get one, and it's good pretty much for the most part until you graduate, because they feel that good about you overall. So it's kind of a tough spot as the in-state program, but I don't know. I think Gabe Relaford's specific case was kind of they overthought it, and now you've seen them kind of correct that in 25 and 26.
Can they make up ground on Relaford? Can they get there?
I think it's going to be pretty tough. That's my opinion. Again, kind of goes back to Elijah Robinson being, as good of a recruiter as he is on the defensive line. You're also dealing with the fact that LSU doesn't know what the future truly holds. Brian Kelly hasn't planted the flag, saying, and you don't know what Jimmy Lindsey's health future is. I mean, I hope for the best. Awesome guy. Seemed like he was starting to actually pick up momentum at the end of the summer with some of the guys he was targeting, especially down the line. But until you have that clarity, that's a tough roadblock for LSU. I also think A&M just has really strong relationships there, without a doubt. That credit to them. They went out there in May, and they might have offered a little bit before that, but they went out there, evaluated him, and put the press on pretty quickly. And we're able to get him on board, and they also have an official visit still to use with him, and LSU does too, if they can get him and his family to come back. They got him on campus for a game this fall, and that was a good, you want to see that had to happen for there to be any chance. But A&M has done a really good job just recruiting him, and so it could be it's going to be a battle. LSU's not going to go away quietly, but I mean, A&M got him on board early, and it's just going to be tough to overcome. So we'll see.
Yeah. Great information. Thank you for the time, Billy. 2 names for you on the way out real quick. Aiden Hall, safety down at Carr, and then linebacker. Somebody was curious out of Lake Charles. Let me get to it. Man, I just had it. I'm sorry. Wyatt Is there a linebacker? Wyatt? Let me find it. Talk on Aiden Hall if there's
Wyatt
anything.
Fontenot.
Wyatt Fontenot. Yes, Wyatt Fontenot. Sorry.
Yep. Wyatt is picking up some steam with some FCS programs. He's got a Northwestern State offer. He's a bigger edge prospect. I don't think LSU makes a move on him there. But then Aiden Hall is a guy LSU's all over, coming up through the ranks in, I think, 2026. 2026. 6'1", 175. He's a top 50 prospect already. LSU's got an offer out there. A bunch of programs have as well. But he's been on LSU's campus multiple times. Our Sam Spiegelman, if you're subscribed to the Bengal Tiger, has an update out there on him as well. And a lot of schools have been all over him. Frank Wilson's recruiting him hard. He's out of Edna Carr. He looks like the next big thing. He really looks the part physically. So, one of the best safeties in the country there for 2026.
Billy Embody on 3. As he said, Bengal Tiger, you got to be subscribed if you are following LSU football and want the latest. They got a great team. The information is unmatched, and you can find them here each week on the Culotta Show. Thanks for the time this morning, Bill. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. And next week we're going to talk about Antonio Hudson's kid. Have you seen this guy? The true freshman. This is a true freshman. I keep saying true freshman. He's a freshman in high school at Ruston. Ahmad Hudson. He had a snag last week. He's like 6'6". His dad, Antonio Hudson, was a basketball player at LSU. And he is going to be special, man. A true freshman wide receiver that I think Billy had a great piece on over at Bengal Tiger. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical Contractors. Hughes Mechanical Contractors, you can find them online at hughesmechanical.net, or you can follow them and call them at 225-658-2147. They are based over in Zachary, but they work all of South Louisiana. Get in touch with Hughes today by just logging online, hughesmechanical.net. Contractors, they are HVAC contractors that can help you with residential or commercial AC services today. That is maintenance, installation, all of it. Online, hughesmechanical.net. They are a trusted Daikin dealer over there with fantastic warranty that you can find out about online at hughesmechanical.net. Hughesmechanical.net, as Hughes Mechanical Contractors, a proud sponsor here of the Jordy Culotta Show. We come back with Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, in his weekly spot as he joins us in studio right here on the Culotta Show. We'll be back with it here on our campus at Click Here Digital.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing. Go Roof. Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing. Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we've seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 5-0 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. If you yourself, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's spell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by R&B Builders and live on the campus at Click Here Digital, Interline Avenue in between Drusilla and Airline. Hit them online at clickheredigital.com, or if you want a direct contact on how to set a full digital marketing plan, you can email me, Jordy at clickheredigital. The Voice is here every Thursday. Chris Blair, compliments of Carriage's Fine Clothier, as you can keep up with The Voice as Chris is wearing Carriage's clothing each game day and each Thursday as he's here with us, and then of course at the radio show every Thursday night with Coach Kelly, which will go to you live at 7 o'clock on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Good to see you, Voice. Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you. You guys have anything to talk about this week?
We're just breaking down the basketball roster, right?
I've been kind of busy, but didn't know what's going on.
Is that as much offense as you've called? I mean, have you called it? That was 1,300 yards total offense. You had over 100 points. I mean, what was that?
I mean, that's the most ever, in a game that LSU's been involved in history. So most yards anyway. And I think the last 5 games between Ole Miss and LSU have been high-scoring affairs. In 19, you remember,
sure.
Well over 100 combined points. So, yeah, there was plenty of offense. I mean, I must have said it 10 times, especially in the second half, coming out of commercial. If you love offense, we got your game here. Defense, not so much. And it's unfortunate. I know it's been talked about all week and examined and analyzed, but you think about games where you lose by a touchdown or by a field goal, and you look back and you say, man, that one play we didn't make the stop. If we'd have gotten that stop, if we'd have forced them to punt on that particular play, the game would have been different. It's very hard to look back at that game for either team, and I think I can count on one hand, and maybe I'm wrong, but it won't be much more than one hand. The number of times they made a defensive play that you said, wow, that was a solid or important defensive play. And, again, I'm talking for both teams. It just was it was a game where it was Jackson Dart and Jaden Daniels, and pretty much all their weapons were on display. And, it's been talked about a lot this week. I mean, your running game's coming along, over 230 yards rushing. Logan Diggs, another solid performance. Yeah. I think that running game is getting there to add to an already lethal passing attack. But all that gets lost, when you lose 55-49, and you look at Jaden's numbers and you compare that to the rest of the guys that are talking about Heisman. And I know the hardcore people are talking about Jaden in that conversation, but unfortunately, I think it's fair to say there's been very few Heisman winners whose teams didn't win championships, or whether that's conference championships or the BCS, something to that nature. So, but not all is lost. I mean, there's still a lot of big games, including the one this weekend on the road. Because to me, you go on this two-game road swing, and then 5 of your last 6 are at home. You couldn't get it done against Ole Miss, but if you can get a road win in conference play against Missouri, and then come back and play overwhelming majority of your games at home. The Tigers play pretty good inside Tiger Stadium,
Absolutely.
So I like those.
Absolutely. If this was the NFL, Jaden Daniels, which the NFL is really they're judged on quarterbacks, right? I mean, that's usually kind of the pace that's set. Daniels is sitting at the elite table, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about Michael Penix, You're talking about Shador Sanders. You're talking about Caleb Williams and Drake May and Jaden Daniels. To me, are the top 5 quarterbacks in college football, and I would take any of them. You give me Daniels, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
How good is the quarterback spot being played right now at LSU? You saw Burrow play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a high level. I mean, you look at his completion percentage. I mean, it's up there with Joey. Again, he didn't throw as many passes so far in his 2 years that Joe did. But, again, it's all relative. I mean, percentage-wise, he's very accurate. And, the thing that we were talking about this time last year was, let's push it down the field. Let's let these guys run under it and make plays. And that's all he did pretty much on Saturday. I mean, the pass to Kyron Lacey, which was in front of us, our booth is about the 25-yard line there at Vaught Hemingway, and that end zone is right down below us. And, I mean, you talk about great coverage for Ole Miss. And, I mean, it just drops. Like, it went up, it got the distance, and then came straight down and landed right. I mean, he didn't even have to extend his arms. He missed the one earlier. He didn't miss it, but the receiver missed one earlier that really would have changed, I think, the complexion of the game. Probably leaped when he could just run under it. I mean, that throw that he made early in the game was right on the money to Chris Hilton. I mean, if he catches that in stride without, that leap, he's probably still running. It's impressive what he's doing. I mean, his numbers back it up. He's still very judicious with the football, which I think is also key. But he's certainly the old MO that he's not throwing the ball down the field, not trying to stretch the field. That's old because he is, and I think he trusts his receivers and those guys for the most part are making plays. I mean, Brian Thomas 3 touchdowns in the game. Malik Neighbors, there was a stretch there where he just took over. I mean, it was pass after pass after pass. The great thing about Malik is, and that's what Missouri's probably scratching their head this week, is he's playing all 3 positions in a given game. I mean, he's playing X, Y, and Z, and they're moving him around, and that's creating matchup issues that, again, they're trying to prepare on how they will do it depending on where he lines up. But his understanding of all 3 of those positions and his ability to play it at such a high level and catch the football and catch it across the middle, catch it downfield, catch it on a post, I mean, he's got the weapons, and Jaden's using them.
Yeah. Is this a tough place to get to from a travel standpoint? I mean, I know that people won't talk about this, but this is this is some tough travel for LSU today, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when you're traveling, I have some friends who actually live in Columbia, and if they fly anywhere or they're coming back home, they typically fly either into Kansas City or St. Louis.
Right.
And then make the drive over. So, yeah, it's not an easy place to get to from a commercial travel standpoint. But it's a great town. I've been there multiple times with basketball and baseball, and the downtown area is great. So if you are a Tiger fan who happens to go up there, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you haven't been before. Downtown is a great area. It's been all redone. There's all restaurants and outdoor eateries and tap rooms and all that stuff. It's a very, very nice and clean downtown area if you can get there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the challenge.
That's right. Missouri's a heck of a challenge again here, right? I mean, you're kind of talking about the similar type of game that you called last weekend. I mean, it feels like you're talking about 2 defenses that are struggling, 2 offenses that are elite. It almost feels like last team that has the ball has the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming kind of a broken record there, and it could be that way for the 3rd straight week if you think about it, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Missouri. But they've got great weapons, and Brady Cook has set the SEC record for most pass attempts without an interception. So, again, you're talking about 2 pretty good quarterbacks who make good decisions and don't try to put their team in a tough spot from a turnover perspective. And then they've got 2 running backs that are impressive, one of which is near the top 5 in rushing yards. And then Nathaniel Pete's another guy who is a running back who they will utilize in the passing game as well. And then you got to start talking about, behind the quarterback Brady Cook, you got to start talking about Luther Burton. I mean, I think you'll have, Jordy, 4 of the best receivers in college football on display with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. for LSU, Luther Burton, and Theo Weiss, who transferred from Oklahoma for Missouri. And Burton, I was joking with you guys before we were on the air. I mean, Burton right now statistically has the most yards receiving in the country. He also has the most yards after catch for a receiver. And this one's the big one. He leads the country in forced missed tackles. So that tells you that if he does make the grab, first you try to deny him. Right. The second part is you got to tackle him. If you don't, he'll turn a 18-yard or a 15-yard catch into a 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Chris Blair will be on the call tonight for the Brian Kelly radio show. That'll be at 7 o'clock over at TJ Ribs. Remember, on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Blair will be in his Carriages Threads, that alternate LSU logo. You can go see Will and the crew over there in the Jefferson Highway Shopping Center and look for some of that LSU gear. We did mention basketball, and basketball is actually on the floor now, just getting back and getting into it. Have you had a chance to go over and see Coach McMahon and his crew? And if so, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, a couple of days over at the practice facility. And, one of the things, and just watching them in a couple of live settings and then talking to the staff and people around the program, offensively, I think it's a team that has the ability to score. Mm-hmm. And there were times last year, especially in conference play, that there were these long spells of just could not get the basket to go in. They would draw the play up. They would execute 95% of that play. The 5% was they couldn't get the shot to go down. Mm-hmm. I think they've got some offensive weapons that they've been able to bring in, obviously, to the program. So I think they're going to score some points this year. The challenge, again, will be defense. Because, as you know, in college basketball, there's a lot of high-flying offense, but those teams that can get down and play defense typically are the ones that rise to the top. So, again, I'm not saying they won't be a great defensive team, but I think they're stronger offensively just based on looking at some of the transfers, looking at some of the freshmen, and looking at your returning players than they are defensively. So I think that'll be the biggest challenge. But, it's interesting when you talk to Coach McMahon. I'm fortunate his office is next to mine. We talk all the time about, in the media about NIL and transfer portal and all that stuff that's changed the game, every sport for that matter. But when it comes to basketball, when you say to yourself, you wonder how the SEC is going to be year to year, who knows? Right. Kentucky has probably the best recruiting class Coach Cal's had, since 4 or 5 years ago. Where he's literally brought in true freshmen that will probably start for the Wildcats. Kind of that run he got on with the John Walls of the world. Yep. It's been a while because he's kind of been using the transfer portal to build his team, and that really hasn't worked very well for him. But he was able to grab a ton of McDonald's All-Americans this year. So they'll be talented, but who knows how they play. But outside of that, everybody's roster turns over so dramatically year to year that it'll be interesting. SEC Media Days is coming up. I talked to our buddy John Brady. He's going to head over there to Birmingham and take it in.
Why wouldn't he?
And of course, between stops between this country club and the other. But I look forward to talking to him, saying, what sense do you get as to what does Auburn have returning? Alabama, of course, Tennessee. I think has done a good job in recruiting. Yeah, what's Rick Barnes going to have this year? So. I think going into the year, it's kind of wide open. You have the usual suspects that you expect just based on tradition that will be strong. But again, when you actually look at roster turnover and then all of the new names, whether it be freshmen or whether it be transfer portal, there's a lot of question marks as to, really who's going to be the best teams in the SEC.
Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers at LSU Tiger Voice. Also a great find and a great listen is Hearing Voices, which is sit down with Blair and the opposing play-by-play of the week. I found it on LSU Gold. I listened to it, but I know that there's a couple access points to it, I think from a podcast standpoint.
Yeah, you can get the audio pretty much wherever you get audio, and then it is on LSU Gold with video, and who doesn't want to see this face for, hours on end. Yeah. Excuse me, but, It's funny because I talk to these guys who call the games, and there are also guys that I listen to. So, like when we are, if we're playing an evening game like we did this past week, I'm on the bus with the team, and I'm listening to, my colleagues in the SEC on the bus listening to the game, mainly to see what the game's doing and who knows, maybe learn a little something. And so I get a chance to talk to them. And truthfully, it's selfish. I like to talk to them and talk about their career and how they got started and who they tried to emulate when they were younger and, how do they prepare for games that may be different than the way I do. That's really why I do it. But as I tell them, if we don't talk about the game this week, a lot of fans, only broadcast nerds are going to listen.
Right.
So we always have to talk a little bit about the matchup. And truthfully, it helps me, because I get the charts done and I got all the notes and numbers. But, they are able to fill in a lot of that, why are they having success? And it was great talking to Mike Kelly this week, who, by the way, a young guy, but he's been doing Missouri football and basketball for over 30 years. He's a Missouri Sports Hall of Fame member, which I didn't know until we got together this week. And I asked him, I said, hey, you guys won back-to-back SEC East titles in 13 and 14 when you came into the league.
That's right.
Is that expectation do they think they're going to go challenge Georgia? Do they think they can, handle Kentucky? And he said the fans are bought in. They're not arrogant enough to think we're going to do that, but they're bought in. And he goes, that's why Faroe Field's going to be pretty wild on Saturday morning because they're all in.
I believe it. Eli Drinkowitz got something there. You can feel it. He's got some momentum and a lot of push behind him. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, tonight, 7 o'clock, TJ Ribs for the Brian Kelly Show, and then 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday morning, which means that you'll hear the LSU Sports Radio Network at 9 a.m., 2 hours prior to the broadcast, walking you right up to kickoff with Doug Morrow, Gordy Rush, and, of course, the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. He'll be back next Wednesday. Compliments of carriages. Good to see you. Safe travels.
That's right, guys. Let's have a great weekend. Get back to our winning ways.
Chris Blair, he'll be here next week. We'll be back with more of the show and close it out. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie's is located down in New Orleans. You can find Katie's Restaurant online at katie'sinmidcity.com. Been around since '84. A New Orleans staple with some New Orleans favorites on the menu. They also have the coldest beer in town and the best service. Remember the Sunday hours, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with new 6 televisions installed over there. So if you're looking for NFL action down in New Orleans, they got all the games going. They can help you out pre-post game if you're heading into the Dome with the new hours. Check them out online at katie'sinmidcity.com or located down on Iberville Street in Mid-City, and a proud supporter here of the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll be back and close it out as we were built daily by RMB. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in. Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up. Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
When law enforcement needed John Stefanski's help,
he stepped up and passed the toughest fentanyl trafficking law in America.
He's always had our back.
As Attorney General, I trust him.
I trust him. I trust John Stefanski to stand with law enforcement
And Louisiana families.
To fight back against violent crime.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John.
I'm with John Stefanski.
I'm with John Stefanski for Attorney General.
I'm with John Stefanski for Attorney General.
Back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by our friends over at RMB, and we are brought to you daily by over here at Click Here Digital Studios, as we are live here from Click Here Digital every single day. You can find them online at clickheredigital.com. Anybody see this NIL deal with Utah?
Yes.
Yeah. The truck.
85 trucks, man.
How about this, bro? One of the most, I'm stealing this from Yahoo. This is coming from Sports Yahoo page. In one of the most unique and lucrative arrangements of the 27-month-old name, image, and likeness era, the Crimson Collective, the NIL group supporting Utah athletics, is presenting a truck to each one of the 85 scholarship members of the football team. The history-making deal is estimated to be in the seven figures. Each truck retails at a price of $61,000.
So this is no beater, coach. This is fresh off the line.
Coach, they're getting top of the line.
The Crimson Collective.
Nick Saban is shaking in his boots.
This right now. I've been getting freaking Chargers every year.
I didn't know y'all wanted trucks.
Collective.
Out of nowhere.
I mean, what do you mean? So every football player gets a Dodge Ram 1500 Bighorn.
Yeah.
There is one caveat. The truck is wrapped in advertising.
Yeah.
You can't sell it.
This is the truck. This is the truck.
If we're doing this.
Oh, you can't hide from anybody in that thing.
Yeah, you do anything.
That's all right, though. I mean, it's a free. Somebody's dropping $60,000 off at your doorstep.
Right, but I'm just
If you
saying.
want to paint a stripe across the cash, I'll still spend it.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like, well, they got a little painting on the back. Cool. Give me the keys.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're a coach riding around at 1:30 in the morning and you see that somewhere, you're like,
oh God.
Might as well put their number on it.
Coach, it wasn't me.
Says 12 right there.
But what a deal, bro.
It's going to stop Denver Harris from so
This
much.
is the best NIL deal for the teams out there, right? I mean, the $50,000 per offensive lineman at Texas is a great one.
That's a good one.
This is a truck.
I mean, but every single player gets
Every
a
single
truck.
scholarship player.
The ones that are inclusive like this are crazy.
Yeah.
Where it's just every player. Like, you don't have to do anything. You're just on the team.
I'm on the team.
You got the scholarship.
I signed here and I got a truck.
What if you're one of the walk-ons that just missed?
Damn.
Got a scooter for you.
Yeah, right.
I'll give you my old car.
Yeah.
That 1998 Honda still running, coach.
I guess, yeah. I guess they could do that. You're probably about to see the Auto Trader list, dang, in Utah go skyrocket. Everybody getting rid of their old cars. I got a new truck.
I mean, this is ultimately what Gordon has done for LSU. I mean, I'd imagine that this auto dealer,
Lamborghinis for everyone.
I mean, is
That's Texas.
This morning waking up with as much advertisement and his name, her name, whoever owns the dealership, the Ken Garff Automotive Group, one of the country's largest auto dealers. I mean, they're getting free advertisement. You know, I mean, like they're on Yahoo's sports page. They're on, I mean, like, you know,
everybody
a podcast in Baton Rouge is talking about them.
I mean, game day is going to have a field day.
Oh man, it'll be huge.
Yeah, I mean, once Utah's on TV playing football, I mean, it's going to be every, dead ball. They're going to start talking about these trucks.
Oh, it's probably going to be one on the sidelines,
Yeah,
coach.
I
They're
mean,
going to have like a quick cut.
The attention's going to be crazy.
Who do they have this week? I mean, a lot of distractions. I got Cal.
So the total value, as we said, of this, and it's a little misleading. It's a little misleading. The total value of the NIL deal with Dodge Ram is as we said, it kind of throws you off a little bit. While the fleet's total price is more than $6 million, Ken Garff Automotive can sell the trucks to the general public after 1 year as part of a leasing agreement through United Fleet Management, Garff said. If it works, we'll keep it going. We're ordering vehicles as we need them. The internet is going to figure out how it works, and hopefully it just keeps it moving, is what Garff said. So we'll see. Good headline.
Sounds like an experiment.
I think they're leased.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what you said, at least for a year.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine if you transfer, you got to give the keys back.
That's about to say.
Cough them up.
It's like if you transfer or your eligibility expires, you have to give that thing up.
Yeah.
And then they take the wrap off and put it back on the lot.
Damn.
I mean, run that thing into the ground, coach.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm driving.
Right.
I ain't getting no oil changes in this thing.
Lady Fournette. No new tires.
New brakes? What you mean?
What are you talking about?
All gas.
Yeah. All gas, no brakes around here.
That's right. Did you see Jimmy Butler when he had to fill up his car in Miami? And it was over like $150 in gas. He's like, this is highway robbery. He's like, I'm trying to give some of this gas back. And he goes, it kept going up, 155, 160. He's like, I'm going electric. This is unbelievable.
I saw somebody, this is no
Filling
lie.
up a Bugatti, though.
No lie, the other day I'm at Costco in like over there around Celtic Studios. And I stop in there to get gas, and there's a couple of these electric meters there that you can fill your car up with electricity. And
that sounds so weird when you say it like
some
that.
dude is standing there. This shows you, like, Louisiana. You ain't ready for this stuff. This guy is standing there, and I'm like pumping gas, you know. And I'm like
old school,
just kind of like, yeah, right. I'm kind of like leaned up, kind of like, you know, just in the zone of gas pumping, right? And this guy
smoking a cigarette
is holding the charger into the deal like he's pumping up gas, and I'm like looking around like,
is he serious?
Yeah, like, I mean, is he like playing around with somebody? Is his wife like looking at him? Is he like messing around? And I mean, like, I'm early in my pump. You know what I mean? Like, I'm early. I'm like 2 gallons in. So I got about
time.
Yeah, I got about 14, 15 gallons left to go. So, I mean, I'm just kind of like sitting there, like, watching this dude, like,
is he going to move?
Yeah, like, I mean, like, that's not how that works. You know, like, I kind of caught myself slipping. You know, I'm like, that's not how that works, is it?
Do I have to hold this?
You don't have to just stand there and hold it. So I'm like, kind of like Googling. I'm like, okay, sweet. Like, okay, I was right. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do it. I'm like, so he's still like standing there
outside.
He's like standing over it as if he's pumping gas. And I'm like, bro. And he's like, I'm like, I don't think that's how that works.
You talk to
him? And he's like, and I'm like, it's not gas. It's energy.
You can just leave it.
Yeah, and I like just like shut the door and like I was like hoping like he would be like, oh yeah. And as I'm driving off, he's still like just like
I gotta hold it.
And I'm thinking like, bro, Louisiana, we ain't ready for this.
Park that thing and plug it in.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, isn't that the beauty of it? Like, just park it and plug it in. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm, like, picturing this guy, like, going to his house.
Right.
And being like, honey, I got to fill the ride up.
You're sitting in the garage.
I'm going to be about an hour and a half pumping up the car. Like, babe, that's not how that works.
Just plug it in.
Yeah,
Plug
right.
it in. That's why it's plug and play.
I mean, they have them on campus at school. Like, I'll park my car, get out, and somebody's car's there, just plug in while they're going to class.
I mean, that's like thinking if you charge your phone, you have to sit there and hold it the whole time.
I gotta charge this
plug
thing
your
up.
computer in, and you're like,
yeah.
no, man, it's working.
It's going through.
You're good to free to walk away.
Free to go. Go to Costco. You can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here. Oh no,
CVL Jr. Jordy, you were hollering at somebody. I was really kind of like trying to like help him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like,
he's standing in the
yeah,
heat
dude,
for no
like, you
reason.
got a great ride. You know what I mean?
Take
Like,
advantage of all of it.
Yeah, man, you've done well. Step away from it.
Just contemplating life.
You look like an idiot right now.
Yeah.
CVL said he's trying to take a break from his family.
Yeah.
He's got his wife in the car. He's like, no, I'm good.
Don't blow this for me.
I got to get electricity, all right?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, right. Who's this guy?
Pump your gas in peace.
Babe, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I have to hold it in.
She's probably, I'm telling him the same thing.
Look at him over there using gas.
Trying to tell me how to.
Yeah, right.
What do you know?
Hey, back to work, asshole. All right, I'm just trying to help.
Oh, man. He probably just doesn't want to go inside the Costco.
Yeah, he's a football coach.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's what football coaches do. Like, this is why I'm calling BS on all this coaching, staying in the building from 6 a.m. until midnight. Like, you know, like, if you're Matt House, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I got there at 4 a.m. I didn't leave till 1 a.m. Well, then, Matt, what's been going on, man? It was like Pelini. You know, like, Pelini, Pelini was like, he was the anti.
Oh, I'm about
like,
to be here late.
Pelini was late for all the meetings. He left early for all the meetings. He was always at the U Club or Gino's. I mean, like, he was rarely in the building. He was my kind of coach. You know what I mean?
Sorry, boys.
Yeah, right. Like,
Gotta
it's
get
like,
out of here.
we're terrible. I can't do anything about it.
I got a tea time at 10:30.
Yeah, like, what do you want me to do? Miss my Gino's lunch?
Hey,
I mean, they're serving lasagna today.
I see all these GAs around.
Thursday.
They can get it fixed. Hey, I trust the players to do their
meanwhile,
work.
these coaches are telling you, I didn't leave the building until midnight last night. Doing what, man? I mean, what? How much film can you watch? Because coaches are the best at telling you how hard they work.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, like, they lead the press conference off with, we've been here since 6. Cool, man. I mean,
Here all day,
like,
coach.
we don't care.
That's
Here
what
all
you
day.
practice.
You know what I mean? Because if you lose a game, we're going to char your ass. You know
Well,
what
that's
I mean?
why. It's like, he's not even in the facility. So it's the perfect, you know.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Spurrier was winning natties in the 90s playing golf at 2 p.m.
Oh, this offense works.
Yeah, right.
Same thing with Leach.
Pleading was using that.
Yeah, Leach didn't show up until like 1.
That's my kind of coach.
Yeah. I mean, like, and he didn't answer emails, didn't answer his phone, didn't answer texts. Like
need none of
people,
that.
like Mason Smith, who Billy was talking about, who's now on A&M staff, who was just terrorizing the LSU recruiting. I mean, like, he's the one that's doing all this early. He knows what matters to Louisiana kids. By the way, have you seen Le'Veon Moss run the ball for Texas?
He is their best back.
He's their best back. When I saw that boy run that ball,
I mean, he runs with a purpose.
I mean, he is
running hard.
Bro, he is their
horse.
He runs like Isaiah Pacheco a little bit.
Yes,
he
does.
I got to get a first down or a touchdown.
He's always high kneeing.
Yep.
Mad at the grass.
I mean, just pissed off when he's running. He is their best back.
Yeah.
But Mason Smith and David Bowen, who he was referencing as well, former staff member, they know what matters to Louisiana kids. Like, if you hear Louisiana kids when they talk, like, they offered me first, you're like, okay, I mean, like, that obviously matters to them.
Yeah. People are getting on me on Twitter because I said LSU should offer Louisiana kids earlier, and they're like, what does that matter? Why does that matter? Because it matters to the kid. The kid knows who was there for him the first day, from day one when he was a D1 recruit.
Do you know how it feels to open up that offer? Like, the first letter you get, like, I got a college scholarship.
I got an offer from A&M?
Wow. Listen to what LSU meant to Relaford.
Right.
I mean, Embody has said it. I'm watching this. Have you seen this? It's awesome.
I've seen the previews for it, but I've never watched it.
You know, I mean, it's good production. I mean, it's the high school documentary stuff.
Been going
I mean, if
on,
you've seen
2
one,
years,
you've seen
right?
them all, but you plug in the characters and you know, I mean, it's Evangel. It's in the state of Louisiana. They got a couple of high-end players. The Relaford guy is a junior on this point, and he is unblockable. Josh Booty's kids, who are the twins, Parker and Jackson Fulgham. I mean, they're the quarterback, wide receiver. For Evangel. I mean, there's cool storylines for Louisiana people if you know the stories. I mean, like Little Jay the other day found out for the first time that Josh Booty and Peyton Manning were in the same recruiting cycle together and that Booty was a higher recruit. I mean, he was like, say what? I was like,
Josh
no
Booty.
doubt, dude. I'm telling you, it was crazy back then, man. I mean, Louisiana had the best 2 quarterbacks in the prep system in recruiting at that point. And I mean, it was wild. I mean, I remember it being like, that was kind of the first cycle I ever like paid attention to just because of that. I mean, everybody was talking about Peyton Manning and Josh Booty, and Booty was the guy.
You got him?
Well, they got him like delayed.
Yeah, he played baseball.
He went to Major League Baseball and then he came back. But I mean, you know, like just, so all that stuff's on it. But point being, like Relaford, you can tell he loves LSU. You know, like, I mean, like there's a lot of LSU just kind of like swag, like, you know, kids wearing hoodies and like posters on the wall and you know, I mean, like there's just, it's tough to miss those kids is my point. Like, I remember hearing Cameron Robinson. I remember somebody telling me, it might have been like Will Blackwell, who is a West Monroe, I mean, just stand out. His grandfather actually was the West Monroe head coach, may still be in Coach Arledge.
Stud.
And then he came to LSU and was, you know, an All-American and, you know, just a guy that was a face captain, offensive line, national championship game 2011. But Blackwell, it might have been him. Blackwell told me, like, Cameron Robinson, West Monroe, left tackle, ended up at Bama, now plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe. Grew up as a kid with a poster of Glenn Dorsey on his wall. Like, no, like I'm not lying. Like, I mean, like the kid like loved LSU. Like, you have to try to mess up and miss on kids like that. And, you know, Les in his ways screwed that up. The offensive line guy couldn't get the number 1 tackle in the country out of West Monroe, who grew up with a poster of Glenn Dorsey on his wall, ends up, you know, starting for 4 years at Bama.
Cameron, you could play defensive line here, I promise.
We could slim you down.
But it sounds like Relaford's the same thing. Like, like Billy telling the story that they went back up in spring and evaluated and still didn't offer. Like, I'm watching his junior season play out on film. What else would you need to see? Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm like, I am not the college football evaluator. I'm not a defensive line coach. I'm not a college football coach, but it's not that hard. Those types of kids don't make it that hard when you turn on the film and you're like, oh yeah, that's an SEC player. I mean, like, no doubt that kid can play in the SEC. So get him before A&M does. I mean, like, that should be the thought process, not this, well, he doesn't, his hand placement. Like, dude, figure all that out when he gets to campus. Like, get these guys into the system, into the program.
I don't care what position he plays.
I could care less what he was get off on third down, just doesn't have that much. Like, coach, man, get him into the program first. I mean, isn't that what recruiting is? Don't I tell you how great you are for 2 years? Then the first day you get here, I kick your ass. I mean, isn't that part of it? I mean, Tommy Moffitt tells great de-recruiting stories. You know, like the first day they show up and they walk in, I'm the 5-star. Like, Moffitt's like, give me everything. I'm about to take your soul, son. I'm about to break you down and make you want to quit. And I don't care who you were on high school campus, wherever in the hell it was in America. I'm about to de-recruit you. I'm about to break you down. But I mean, like, they had to kiss his ass to tell him to get him there. Like, no, you're beautiful. We love you. You're gonna do this. We're gonna play you there. We're gonna do all this.
Put you in the 7 jersey.
I mean,
welcome to hell.
Isn't that what recruiting is? Gotcha. You know what I mean? Like,
thought this was gonna be sunshine and rainbows, huh, boys?
He loved me so much. Now he don't know my name.
This is war.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Go run that sled against LaRon Landry.
26 110s later.
Moffitt was talking about that last year because he was talking about the physicality of the LSU defense and what it feels like that's lacking a little bit. And he's like, I just don't know what they're doing in practice. When I was there, it wasn't no thudding. There's a lot of days where we were tackling, and it seems like it's a lot of run to the football, tap you on the ass, fit up, you're good. And he's like, that sometimes you have to, and Les got criticized for this, and I think Ed got criticized for this towards the latter part of his tenure, of you can go too hard, right, and practice to where by you get to Saturday, you're already broken.
Yeah, that was Les.
Right. But there's also that fine in between where, and Brian Kelly mentioned it, where he's like, we got back to being a little bit more physical on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after the Mississippi State game. It's like, okay, maybe this is what kind of can get LSU's defense trending in the right direction. Then you fast forward to what happened against Ole Miss, and it's the same thing. And let's not act like should be a surprise. LSU struggled tackling last year.
I tell you what, though, watch Hard Knocks. Go back and watch Hard Knocks and watch the Detroit Lions play football right now.
Oh, yeah.
And watch the emphasis they put on playing physical and what Dan – and look, man, you know, like have your opinion. Dan Campbell's team has the personality of their head coach. And to me, that is the sign of a good team, whether it is finesse like Hugh Freeze's teams were at Ole Miss, or whether they're physical teams like Dan Campbell's are in Detroit. Whatever your style, those are the personalities. Sean Payton's Saints teams had his personality. Mm-hmm. Like him, hate him, whatever it is, to me, that is the sign of a good team because they are buying in, they embrace, they believe what you are preaching. Dan Campbell's philosophy on playing physical and practicing in it, you go back and watch Hard Knocks, those guys are getting after it in training camp. Pros, it's tough to ask pros to hit. I mean, the collective bargaining agreement, if you look at it from both sides, one thing that has been stripped out of the game is the practice habits. There's only a certain window of time that you can be physical on a practice field in the NFL. That is by law, by rule, as collectively bargained on both sides. In training camp, the window is much more wide open. Dan Campbell takes advantage of every single second that he gets to play physical. Turn on the film and watch Detroit now. They will mash your head. They are coming for your soul every Sunday. I mean, they want to break you. Does that happen just because they were hitting in training camp? Probably not, but it's a mentality that started there on that practice field. And it also has you refined in tackling by the 5th week of the season. I mean, I understand missing tackles in week 1 and week 2. You see it everywhere.
Right.
Right? But missing tackles in week 5, that's inexcusable. There is, come on, that has to be cleaned up by week 5. There's no excuse out there that could make up for that.
Slipping on the field.
Being a physical team and watching how Campbell installed that and now watching the Detroit Lions play, it's no coincidence. He never let them think that they weren't going to be physical. By the way that he talked to him in the meeting rooms, and then he'd roll him out there on the field, and he would say, hey, everybody's live, including you, 16. There were a couple of practices where golf is live.
Kelvin Shepard is on the Lions staff. You think LSU could use him?
Oh, I mean, you fall in love with Kelvin Shepard in Hard Knocks.
Yes.
I mean, Kelvin Shepard is the one inside those meeting rooms telling people like, hey, we're headhunters.
Yeah.
We're here to bury you. We're here to make you contemplate quit playing.
It's a scene in there where he tells the linebacker room, there's Rodriguez, I think he's like an undrafted player.
That's right.
And he's telling the linebackers,
Exactly.
like, if you don't play fucking hard,
That's right.
Rodrigo's going to take your spot.
And you know why Rodrigo's playing? Because he'll knock your head off.
And he plays hard.
And he's intense.
I don't care what year he is.
And that's what Kelvin Shepard, the linebackers coach, is looking for, because it's been told to him up top by Dan Campbell, find me that. That's what everybody on the team. I mean, hell, you watch the wide receivers play at Detroit, the way they block. They're coming to hit
Brown
you.
is physical.
They're coming to hit you, man. Like, and that is, hey, Dan Campbell says it on Hard Knocks. That to me, I remember watching that live and thinking, I bet you there's a lot of coaches around the country looking at this and paying attention to it, because the philosophy has gone such anti-contact on a practice field for football that it really, it sets your team back on Saturdays, Sundays, Fridays for high school teams, whenever you're playing. Right? And I think it's more evident of the teams that are zoned in, practicing, have an emphasis on becoming good tacklers. I mean, that is, you got to build, you can't hire Pete Jenkins in week 5 and say, hey, make my defensive line better. You kind of are who you are. I mean, he can come up there and say, get up on the line of scrimmage, play this guy. Maybe get out of this scheme and that down and situation. But as far as like making them better every single day, he may make them better by the time they play A&M. They may be better by the last week of the season, which is okay. That's good. But like the mindset's built on your team by the time that the ship kicks off the dock. You can't say, hey, I'm going to drop you off somebody mid-sea and change your entire direction. Like we said, this is a tanker. You start turning this thing week 5, by week 10, you might have it flipped. Maybe. But there's going to be growing pains of, hey, man, we can't get that nose turned. So, I mean,
hopefully you see at least a semblance of change on Saturday.
Pete Jenkins, baby.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's going to be a couple of things that you see differently.
Well, he can. There are some strings that he can ultimately like pull on real quick and say, "Oh, look at that!" Like there's a change.
Right. If you're able just to get pressure.
Yeah. 13 looks like he could rush the quarterback. 16 looks like he could rush the quarterback.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Pete Jenkins probably went in there.
Yeah, guys, stop taking these guys off the field.
Don't overthink this.
Yeah,
99, he can play in the middle.
If you do this and you do this, maybe it frees up 4 to do the thing.
Right. The thing that you've been wanting to do that he can't do.
He played well.
He is playing well, given the circumstances.
Right.
He's the only one out there making tackles.
Have a good day out there. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment if you don't mind. Tell a friend about us. Hit us on social media at Culotta Show. As we will be back with you tomorrow morning for a Friday edition. We'll be listening to Mintz. Mintz still surfing the waves of Oxford.
Said it's the best one he's ever been a part of.
Ever.
He's
hugging, crying in the stands after the game.
Wait, who is this?
Ben Mintz.
Oh, God. Mintz.
He was the best ever.
Best ever.
One more memory of Oxford tomorrow from Ben Mintz. We'll also have Shay Dixon in with us.
Allegedly.
More on our boy, Greg Brooks, Support 3. Remember, you can find the link all over our social media.
Just pinned to the top of the chat.
Oh, sweet. Nice. It's on the chat as well. So you can find out how you can get involved and support our guy, Greg Brooks, the Greg Brooks Victory Fund, which was put together by Tiger Athletic Foundation. Pretty quick moving over there for TAF. Good work. Let's support our guy here, Greg Brooks, and his family as they need us as they go through this rehab. Thinking about you. Greg Brooks, everybody behind you, bro. Get well soon. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Leroy Jenkins.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Right there. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends.